Hello friends, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel, the best football channel on the internet. Yeah, he went there. And this is the Fallout, the best review show of the weekend's action. Yes, I went there. Would I like you to subscribe? Yes, I'd like you to go there. Shall we begin? Let's go there. Arsenal with a cracking victory against Newcastle, and Arsenal deserves some credit. We'll dive into that in just a second, but let's focus on Newcastle first of all. What a mess they're in. Still haven't won a game this season. Let's show the standings actually just briefly. Look at them, 6 points, haven't won a game yet. Eddie Howe, I thought, had put some of the wheels in motion, and maybe they were trying to do it in this game, but it really didn't work. In terms of the XG, 2.85 to 0.28 from Newcastle. They offered absolutely nothing in this game. In the first half, 21% possession. Did it improve in the second half? Well, hello, 45%. But just because they're losing 2-0, they had to give it a bit of a go. I was really confused by the pressing stats from Newcastle. Ryan Fraser in particular, these are the pressures overall from Newcastle. Wasn't a huge amount. I mean, Joe Willock gave it a go, God bless him, on that left-hand side. But Ryan Fraser, it showed that the formation was one that they weren't really sure what they wanted to do going without the ball, which is what they were quite happy to do in terms of not having the ball. And you saw that in the lineups and the average positions as well. Arsenal were really good, and I think part of the narrow nature of Newcastle here, which is you would think this is maybe, he's giving it a go with a 4-2-2-2. But, I mean, Ryan Fraser in that position, I don't really understand it. I think maybe part of it was the idea that maybe following on from what we spoke about last week, which was that Joelinton's maybe that guy that you get the ball to him and you use him as a guy that allows you to move up the field. It certainly didn't work in this game. I also think there was a problem here with the great spaces that Arsenal were getting into. Really positive from them. You can see it here. I mean, but it was something that Newcastle just allowed them to do. I think the idea for Newcastle was to go a little bit more laterally, I guess, get the ball into Callum Wilson, and that's where that penalty shout came from. But overall, struggled to get up the pitch. You can see that from the fullbacks being so deep. It's so close to one, isn't it? I had to finish it off. And what? Newcastle need a defensive midfielder. Oh, that's going to make it look horrific. Where am I going with this? No, I can't. Could I? Just so that you can get your fullbacks further up the pitch. And Christ. Vagina. Yes, I'm a child. I'm sorry. Big game for Newcastle this midweek against Norwich City. It's interesting, you got Dean Smith, who's trying to kind of create a bit more structure to that Norwich side, whereas Newcastle trying to be that little bit more proactive and play on the front foot. This will be a massive game for Newcastle, and if they lose this, as I said a couple of weeks ago, I'm really struggling to see how they can get out of it. When it comes to Arsenal, a week ago, I was saying, keep calm and carry on, and I think overall the reaction to the 4-0 defeat to Liverpool showed that Arsenal fans have got a great perspective of their club, but also they're able to keep calm and carry on because of the amount of progress that has been made at Arsenal. Now, it's going to take time to get yourselves back to those top three teams, because Man City, Chelsea and Liverpool at the moment are a million miles ahead. But what you can see here is that this squad is being rebuilt, and the ceiling of that squad, we don't know how high it is. And we also have a manager in Arteta that I think is a much better manager than he was a year ago. The sort of general principles that he wanted to put forward were there, but I think he needed a squad to kind of show what he was trying to do. And now, yes, this is almost a training game against Newcastle, but you know what he's trying to do, and it's really positive. To have 5 there, and then Bukayo Saka looking to drive in behind as well. 2 centre-backs that are willing to get on the ball and to drive with the ball and be positive with the ball. These are all great things, but what's the most impressive thing is how far they've come in terms of sorting out this squad. Now, this is a video that I did, when was it? December 7th last year, and it was called Breaking Down the Arsenal Contract Mess. So this is FM21. When I made the video, I was looking at the contracts of Arsenal players from that time, from that season. This is the start of last season. And what you can see here is that these are the highest wage earners, and the people that are highlighted there are the players that they've been able to get rid of. So from this point last season, Mesut Ozil's still there. David Luiz, Danis Ceballos in on loan. Obviously, high wages. Hector Bellerin, who has got to a point now where they feel like they needed to move him on. And that's a bit of an anomaly when it comes to the older personnel that Arsenal needed to get out the door. Willian, Socrates, Mustafi. So many players they've been able to get rid of. And at the time when I did the video, the concern I had was that so many of these, Willian, Hector Bellerin, lots of these players, Lucas Torreira, loads of these players, you were struggling to get them off the wage bill because they had contracts that were too long. If we take a look at the Arsenal squad now and have a look at the age, right? Let's go to the youngest down and then highlight players who are key members of the first team squad. Bukayo Saka, of course. Martinelli, of course. William Saliba hasn't worked out for him yet. Emil Smith-Rowe, crucial. Nuno Tavares, who a lot of people having a go at the other week. Unbelievable game this week against Newcastle. Yes, I know it's different. And yes, I know there are levels to the Premier League. But it's a 21-year-old that you can be so excited about that you've bought for 6 million. It's great business. Lokonga, playing in those big games at 21. He's only going to get better. Martin Odegaard. Tomiyasu, the starting right back. Ramsdale, now the starting goalkeeper. Gabriel, the starting centre back. Ben White, yes, costs big money, but he's 23 years old. Even Ainsley Maitland-Niles is part of it. Kieran Tierney was possibly the best player last year for Arsenal. It's amazing. It's an amazing turnaround. And then if we go to the transfer value, 22, 23, 23, 23, 20, 20. In terms of players that have high value for the club, it's all of those guys. They're all under 23. This is absolutely outstanding work from Arsenal, and they deserve some credit for it. And I'm going to give it to them because the most important thing when it comes to football is hope. And feeling like you're being well run and making smart decisions at the right time. Arsenal as a club have such history that they always have the potential to solve it. And this is exactly what I was saying a year ago. You've got to get rid of the old dead wood, and you've got to bring in players and give the opportunity to players who can develop, who are hungry, and who have a ceiling that we don't even know what it is yet, right? And that is exactly what is happening at Arsenal. And it's exciting. Yes, you're nowhere near the top of the league right now. But again, when it comes to, say, the wages, who's got the highest wages? It's pretty spread out, the wages as well. So you've got, and this might not be bang on, but you get what I'm saying, guys. Arsenal deserve some credit for turning this around in such a short space of time, in my opinion. Liverpool were gorgeous at the weekend. 4-0 victory against Southampton, taking their chances as well. Southampton sort of experimented with this back 3-5 thing, and it really, really didn't work. That said, Liverpool were purring. They were absolutely purring. And I don't know, I'm getting close to an apology for Liverpool and Liverpool fans because it's just, they're so good. They're so good. Are they going to win the league? Here's a question, actually. I'd love to know. Who do you think is going to win the league right now? Those three teams, Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, are so far ahead of anyone else in the league right now. But Liverpool are not even just hanging in there. They're thriving, and they've got the bit between their teeth as well. They look so great in this game. And we do average positions a lot in the Fallout. If you just imagined what you would want Liverpool's average positions to be for a game, it's this. It's honestly, it's perfection. And I know maybe I'm looking at average positions too much these days, but if you wanted to put magnets on a tactics board and go, where would I like everyone to be during this game? It's exactly this, and we've seen it so many times, but it's fantastic. Henderson getting involved as part of this three on this side. Thiago dropping a little bit deeper, which offers a way of stopping the opposition, but able to get the ball and spread passes all over the pitch. Jota happy to drop back like he always does, which allows Sadio Mane and Salah the areas to go into diagonally behind them. Robertson was great in this game, bombing up down the line as well, and just... it all starts from the back two, really. It is a back two, isn't it, at this stage? Because they're so competent that it allows the entire team to move up the pitch. Southampton, on the other hand, really kind of struggled with it, I've got to be honest. And it was a weird little system that they were trying to put together. You had Adams, Armstrong, and Broja, I'm not sure how you say it, all kind of on each other's toes. And I also think this is kind of down to how well Liverpool played as well, to be honest. But they were able to, the three at the back, it wasn't compact enough, and that was a problem for them because you have the starting point of Mane, but so much space for him to drive into. He also dragged out Bednarak throughout the game as well. And I think the average positions are probably like this due to the fact that Liverpool basically made them pretty dizzy with the fact that they were just switching play all the time. Brentford 1, Everton 0. Scary times for Everton. I'm probably going to do a video on this because there's a real problem, and I've got one, with Rafa Benitez at Everton, and I don't know if he can survive this. I'll dive into that in another video if you'd like me to. Let me know if you would like me to do that in the comments below. But let's focus on this game. I could talk about the wider context for hours, but the game itself was confusing, I think, if you're a neutral, and there'll be a lot of press talking about, well, Everton were okay in this game. It's just not good enough right now for Everton on the pitch. Look, you look at the momentum bar there, you can see that Everton were kind of huffing and puffing. If we have a look at the stats from the game, 60% possession, 14 shots isn't terrible, and actually 10 of those shots inside the box as well. But Brentford were generally pretty comfortable against them. And there's just such a lack of creativity for Everton right now. They've scored 3 goals in the last 6 matches combined, 2 points from 21. And as I say, Brentford just sort of let them... It basically stopped the ball from getting to Rondon, and Rondon struggled. And so really that should play into the hands of an Everton side that would then go down the sides, as you can see here. You know, if we look at this, yes, they're quite distant from each other, and it shows how poor the midfield were. But often players like Alan Decore, a little bit less so, he gets forward, doesn't he, as a box-to-box midfielder. But you would have this presence out wide, and then you would be looking to get those crosses in. Rafa Benitez said that there were enough crosses that came into the box, but Rondon right now hasn't got it, and there's just a huge lack of creativity right now. Demarai Gray could only play 30 minutes in this game. Alex Iwobi is he just isn't it. He never has been. And there's a lot of problems here, and a big fixture run that are very, very difficult. And the problems, they stem from... I'm not even going to get into it right now, but Rafa is on the brink here. If you want me to do a video on Everton in more detail, on Rafa Benitez in more detail, let's have a like target. Can we get 2,000 likes in 24 hours, and then we will do it. But this video will get too long if I get into it now. Great win for Brentford. Needed it. Really, really needed it, and got it. And the only concern I would have for them is that you have this unbelievable player in Ivan Toney, and he's no way near the box right now. Let me just show you really, really quickly for Brentford fans watching, because he's just no way near the penalty area. And that might work when you get a penalty and get that little bit of luck, but long term, if you want it to stay out of that relegation zone, and 16 points is a good start, if you want to stay out of it, he's got to be closer to the goal. He has to be more often. It's just not up to it at the moment, and it's going to hurt them down the line. I also had a look at Mbeumo's stats, and Mbeumo, a lot of people like him in FPL, but I think he's had 25 shots so far this season. Only 4 of them have been on target. It's just not good enough as well. They need to get themselves another striker to help Ivan Toney if he's going to continue with this selfless performance that he's providing at the moment. Great win for Aston Villa against Crystal Palace, and a really good away performance. It had a very clear identity about it. Aston Villa went into the game with the worst away record in the league with 3 points. Crystal Palace hadn't lost at home, and Villa they're only the second team this season to concede less than 1 XG away to Palace. So really, really solid. You can see from the momentum bar that Aston Villa, didn't dominate the game. Crystal Palace did, but it was a sort of the huffing and the puffing. But overall, Aston Villa went there to make it difficult for Crystal Palace, not allow their exciting players to get on the ball in dangerous areas, and they did brilliantly. it was interesting to see Ashley Young's role in this game, playing so much further forward now for this team. Of course, he's been a left-back for the last 5 years, and both from an offensive point of view and a defensive point of view, it was really interesting. You can see here from his heat map, picking up the ball in areas that allowed him the option to play it inside or outside. He clearly had somewhat of a license when it came to possession, and he was allowed to sort of shoot and test the goalkeeper as well. And defensively, in the defensive half, when he came back, he sat in a narrow position. So this, again, is part of being solid. It's also important because he was able to sort of pick up those spaces that stopped Conor Gallagher getting on the ball and where he likes to receive the ball. His work with Ramsey was really good in this game, really important as it applied pressure to Gallagher, and he was kind of a trigger for a sort of mini press for them at times, because Gallagher generally likes to take more than 2 touches and can be a little bit hectic at times. But Ashley Young, to be playing in this role, I think it might be one that in games where they want to be solid and then allow their quality to maybe shine in a few individual moments, which is what's happened really in the first 2 games so far this season. Ashley Young played an interesting role in it. And you can see 37% possession for Aston Villa. One of those ones where I just think they're a lot more engaged or more focused in what they're doing right now. And you can see from the average positions as well, really, really solid, stopping play to come in through the middle, making sure that they had to go round side, as Chris Wilder would say. And Palace struggled a little bit. A thing that will drive Crystal Palace fans absolutely balmy right now is the amount of set-piece goals that they're giving away, and they gave another one in this game. It's absolutely amazing. Their XG when it comes to set pieces is 5.7, but they've conceded 10. It's crazy. 10 set-piece goals and 65 set-piece shots, which puts them top for both, right? Yeah. Absolutely amazing what they're doing. I watched some of their set-piece goals back this morning. The thing that I would say is, now this is coming from kind of personal experience. When I played for a lower semi-pro team, and we were a really young side, and we used to concede a lot of goals from set pieces. And part of it, I think, was it was almost just sort of not having grown into your body just yet, and therefore not having that gusto and that, I guess, that responsibility when it comes to those set pieces. Some of the centre-backs that are in that side, Gay, Anderson, they're still young, and I wonder if that plays a part. Same goes for some of those other young players in the squad, Conor Gallagher as well, where at that initial point of the season they started to concede 1 or 2 set piece goals, and then as times progressed they've got more and more concerned. They're also really, really poor in the second phase, but ultimately there are no excuses, because generally, you need enough big players to get yourself out of trouble when it comes to set pieces, and they have that. You've got Ward in there, you've got 2 centre-backs in there, you've got Benteke who's playing most games, Kouyaté who's playing most games. There's absolutely no reason why they should be conceding this many set-piece goals, apart from it being something between the ears, both initially, in terms of being brave and going and win that initial header. At the back post, they're looking really, really poor when it comes to set-pieces. And when it comes to those back post set pieces, it's the second phase where they're becoming undone time and again. And of course, the big game on Sunday night was Chelsea versus Man City at the Bridge. 1-1, Chelsea with an XG of 2.54. Man United with an XG of 0.82. For Chelsea, it was just one of those days. And I honestly actually think that the title race might come down to that. The fact that who has a few more of those kind of days. Timo Werner, I don't want to be like this, but I don't know what he brings. He's just so uncomposed. It just feels like he's kind of giving it a go. It's like Sunday. It looks like, and of course he does it. Of course he's not Sunday League. Of course he's better than I could ever imagine to be. But in that scenario, in terms of having that kind of guile, that calm in good areas, he's just pretty woeful. It really is, and it hasn't changed since he came through the door at Chelsea. It's so odd. They huffed and puffed. They didn't get themselves the goals that they wanted. Rudiger, of course, had a chance at the end. When it comes to Man United, what was interesting, first of all, the momentum bar here is absolutely hilarious. That again shows Chelsea's dominance. Lukaku bang off the pace when he did come on. It'd be interesting to see if he starts against Watford. I think he obviously kind of needs some minutes, but he's got to be right for it as well. When it comes to Man United and how they set up Ralf Rangnick, there was an element of what is to come with Ralf Rangnick. It was a bit more thought through when it came to the press. It wasn't totally cohesive. It certainly wasn't totally relentless, but it was better. It was much better. I mean, on the ball, it was exactly how we said that they would set up. There would be a kind of strong three here. But I actually think this was kind of like a negative formation that is similar to the Liverpool style of play. You know, that 4-3-3 with a false nine. Bruno Fernandes kind of playing that false nine, but ultimately, dropping deep and helping out the team so much to protect these two centre-backs who were so deep as well. You know, that is pretty outrageous. And for Man United to only have 21 touches in the final third says a huge amount. But I think the idea was that to have that starting point and then to allow Sancho and Rashford to offer something on the counter-attack, that was how they were trying to kind of get something from the game. The goal itself, of course, comes from a 1 in 1,000 touch from Jorginho, but it was that kind of pressure and that, I guess, that intensity, shall we say, from Man United to give themselves that chance. A couple of interesting individual performances here. I thought Matic was good in this game. I thought he did well for them in terms of sort of getting around the press with nice little flicks and tricks. Maybe less so tricks, more so flicks. And he could maybe be the DM that Rangnick will want to invest in before they truly invest in someone, because I think he's the only DM that they have in their locker who can do that at the moment. Maybe Pogba doesn't really count because defensively I don't think he sees it and has that awareness that you would want to see. Fred as well, as part of a sort of flat three midfield that you kind of ended up seeing a lot of the time. He was better in terms of pushing forward. I've got to say, you know, there's been so much patronising of Fred, but ultimately there's things he does well and there's things he's not as good at. And so this, again, comes back to what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should have got out of him and what the world should expect of your players. You know, I know it's Man United. I know you expect a little bit more. But now through this lens of gegenpressing, everyone's kind of decided that Fred's an all right player now, which I think is interesting. In a 4-3-3, could he play that Wijnaldum role where he's that pressing monster? He hasn't got that technical ability, but between now and the end of the season, could he offer that to the team? Maybe. Sancho played in the role that we said that he would play in my preview, where he played in that sort of channel and looked much better. I think he's going to play a lot of games during the festive period. It's going to be interesting to see how he gets on with that fact that he's got to play so many games during that period. Of course, he's been in Germany where he's had that winter break each year. So that's going to be interesting to see how they manage his minutes. But overall, it was one of those where I think Mark Goldbridge spoke about it and said it was a bonus point. And I think that's certainly a fair reflection of this game. Carrick, was he at the wheel? Was he just choosing the music at the wheel? Felt like it was a bit more like that, but the changes will sweep through. And the Ronaldo part of it, finally, to touch on, Roy Keane and Jamie Carragher. I think Roy Keane was out of his depth in that argument. I think he knew he was struggling with it when he was saying he came for FA Cups. That's not the case. And this is something that I've said and I've got a lot of heat for months now, actually. I feel like I was one of the first people on YouTube to be brave enough to say that the Ronaldo purchase wasn't right. And what's going to be so interesting is how he's utilised over the coming weeks and months with Ralf Rangnick coming in. If you want to check out my video talking about how Ralf Rangnick will set up at Man United, that is on the channel right now. Go and check it out. If you've enjoyed this video, then do me a favour, guys, as ever, hit the subscribe button. We're trying to march to 150k, and you can help me with that. And hit the like button as well if you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, guys. Love you lots. Have a great week. I'll speak to you soon.